Hi, I'm James, and I'm taking you behind the future.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Future. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host Max today. Max, tell us a bit about who you are.
So I'm 15 in year 11 from Crawley, and I'm just here because I managed to get into some competition in an Excel event in London, and I did the podcast so many times with my mates that they ended up inviting me to Maidstone, and it's been a good day so far. I've been interviewing people in town, all sorts of characters here, and it's just been nice exploring.
Fantastic. Well done, because you know what, that event in Excel, we had so many students sit in these podcast seats that day. So the fact that you got through is brilliant. So I'm very excited to have you here on the sofa with me, interviewing our wonderful guests. So James, tell us a bit about who you are and where you're from.
Hi, I'm James Smith. I am Principal Software Engineer at Red Ant.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to dive more into that. I'm going to let Max kick us off.
So my question, which I refused to tell you, was that you mentioned in your files as I read them that you didn't go to uni, and the lead director of, and I'm guessing this was Red Ants, but you said the retail OS, so the lead engineer saw your potential and gave you guidance that you still refer to today. So would you say that was almost like a mentor to you?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't a formal agreement, but and I don't know if he knew that he'd got a mentee, but yeah, absolutely. I think I came into Red Ant as a web developer, design focused web developer. That's what my background's in, and yeah, we had done a project for one of our clients where we'd built a mobile application with like APIs. It was a full stack project, and it's nothing I'd done before. Not in any real like professional capacity, but yeah, the project went well. He saw my potential, I guess, and he got me onto this. This new, at the time, it was a new product that Red Ant was working on called Retail OS, and he's like, I want to get you on board. And yeah, I think everything that has happened in my career since then, even though I've been at the same company, it doesn't sound, you might not look interesting, but like over those last 10 years, I've been doing a lot of roles, doing a lot of different things. And yeah, I think that was the one point that kind of kicked it all off.
And how would you compare, say, if you imagined you were to go to uni, how would you compare that to getting mentoring instead?
Oh, yeah, tough question. I mean, it is really difficult. So what was my education? I did A-levels. It was media studies, business studies. I did film studies as well. So I literally used the same essay for two of my A-levels.
Love that.
Yeah, a bit of a workaround.
Optimising your work.
And to be honest, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I really enjoyed being in my own time. I'd spend a lot of time playing with HTML. Remember MySpace? You
Yeah.
know what MySpace is, but a very, very early social network. They allowed you to do a surprising amount of customization to your profile page. It was quite easy to kind of hack into and play around.
You say easy. I don't remember it being able to do that. So I think you had to have some
do
skills.
So basically, my MySpace profile was amazing.
Love it.
But yeah, and that kind of being able to write a bit of code, make a change that anyone on the internet could potentially see, I found quite interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting. I made the decision to kind of move, not to go to uni. I didn't feel like I was prepared to. I was talking to my friends, career advisors, my parents. I said, I don't think this is right for me yet. But I wanted to keep in education, so I actually kind of a lateral move to Mid-Kent College to on a more vocational qualification. So still same level, but did a media studies course there. Web development was part of one of the modules in it, and from that point I was like, yeah, this is really learning how to build a website, host it, get it on the internet. It was a big thing, and yeah, after that just get straight into work. I just worked in an Apple store, but in at the time I thought this is kind of relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah, in my own time, in the evenings, weekends, just learning as much as I could.
I'm intrigued about the Apple store because I always think the customer service in an Apple store is incredible. Mm-hmm. So was there a lot of training around that? Did you kind of feel that as an employee?
Oh, absolutely. And I was one of their trainers. So, back in early 2000s, people didn't know how to use Macs. So there was a big push to have people come in. Let me show you how to use a laptop. So
amazing.
Yeah, that was fun. So yeah, got lots of training.
Yeah, I bet that taught some skills that are probably still bedrock skills that you use today.
Absolutely. Yeah, in terms of being able to meet someone you've never met before, be able to have a conversation with them, not be too nervous about it. It's
yeah, really good.
Yeah.
And then so from there, where did it go to learning more about web development? You've done a bit because I guess as part of a media studies course, it was just a module, was it?
So it wasn't the whole thing. Yeah.
So what next?
So I spent a few years working in the Apple store just to kill time, if I'm honest. It's still not 100% sure like where I wanted my career to go, but I was building like websites for my friends at the time. Like blog websites were really popular, like WordPress websites. So me and a few friends made our own like WordPress blog. I built the front end for it, made the design, all that kind of stuff. Just trying to find little projects that I could work on. So the web industry at the time was kind of ahead of the curve in terms of what you could get through formal education, and there was a lot of people, web developers on things like Twitter. They were constantly talking about what they were doing. It was, there's loads of places for someone like me, I want to get into this, to be able to get that information for free. People were building websites on how to learn how to code, all that kind of stuff, and all of it was free. Like, there wasn't anything that I needed to get into education to do. So all it took was my own self-drive, really. That's it took a lot of, like I say, a lot of late evenings, a lot of weekends, but I worked on building my own portfolio of websites, doing websites for friends. Portfolio websites for their, they're coming out of uni, they want to be able to show off what they've been doing, help them get employed. So I was building their websites, and by the end of it, I had a collection of things that I can go to an potential employer and show them. After a lot of job searching, I finally got a job. It wasn't even like a tech company; it was a mobile telecoms company in Rochester, but they had a a bit of a mini startup that working on applications for basically security guards to tap in. You might see them doing it now, but they walk around shopping centres tapping in, saying I've gone here and in here. They wanted a new designer. They're like, we've built this app, it doesn't look very good, we want a designer. I got the interview. Luckily enough, I was I was hired, which was it felt good. It felt good. And
that was the first proper step into I'm being paid for this skill set now.
Absolutely.
And then I guess suddenly you start to develop it a lot more because people start asking things. And you're like, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to go and find out now and grow and.
Yeah, I mean, being in a startup environment as well really helped shape who I am now. The team was, I think, 5 altogether, so you naturally have to wear a lot of hats, not just the role that you're doing. So I was very quickly getting thrust in front of clients, talking through solutions with them, and it was my role was like web designer, but in reality, what I was doing day to day was a lot more hands-on across all aspects of the business, really.
It's always the way in a startup. It's you have to suddenly be able to turn your hand to everything, don't you?
It's hard, but I would recommend it.
It is. It's such a good way to start to understand the workings of a company, because at that point it's it's only just functioning as a company because it's so new, and you're part of seeing how it gets built and how it suddenly over time, I'm sure if that company, I don't know the story of that company, how well it then grew into a bigger team, but you start to see the teams grow out, and suddenly you're not all doing everything. You've got really distinct roles, but it has to start in that place, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Unless you've got tons of funding, and then it might be slightly different, but most businesses.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Have you ever thought about working in a startup?
Not a tech startup. I'm not really a tech guy, but I think, well, I mean, I guess most startups have a lot to do with tech. I think I've always been interested in the idea of a new innovative idea, a new business, which doesn't always have that many people. One of my friends back in Crawley actually has a agency, like an ad agency.
Okay.
Which him and his twin brother run out of their bedroom. So every now and then I'll go around there, just see how they're doing, see their parents and whatnot, and they'll be working on their startup.
Amazing.
It's actually quite impressive. They've been putting a lot of work to it, maybe a bit too much work considering they have not been revising. But I think that they've been quite focused on it, and it's I think there's a level of that passion you see in these small startups, which you don't really find once businesses get quite big and corporate. I remember like my dad recently left the company he was working at, and a big part of it was he was saying how the company's changed, and the people inside it have also changed. He got a new boss which he wasn't really a fan of, and the company was getting bought out by a parent company.
Yeah.
They were moving office into Canary Wharf, which was and it was going to be quite difficult for my dad to get there, compared to their old office, which was in a town closer to Crawley. And in general, he was just talking about how it's kind of lost its passion, and the company's kind of just becoming more and more of like an access way for money, instead of an actual passion project.
I think companies do change, don't they? They change shape. Could be different leadership team. It can be, especially if a company gets bought, or like that just changes so much, doesn't it? And it's hard when it's a big company to obviously Red Ant is at the peak has been, I don't know, 50 people, has it?
At its peak, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And businesses of that kind of size, you change up and down over time, don't you? But that's still, everybody knows everybody's name.
Absolutely.
Everyone probably knows each other's kids' names or pets' names or something important to each member of staff. Whereas actually you get to a big company and that kind of culture you get that in many teams, don't you? But the apple cart can get rocked very easily if there's a big change. So... no, it's interesting, really interesting. So you're in your first startup.
Yep.
Where does that story take us? What happens next?
I think I got a little excited. I was like, cool, I've been here. I've been there for 2 years. I'd learnt a lot. I think like doing stuff in your bedroom, just building websites is completely different to doing it in a corporate environment. Getting used to it being a little bit slower was a bit infuriating at points, but I think I learned a lot, and I was kind of itching to get out of Maidstone. I mean, I've been here my whole life, so the draw of getting a shiny job up in London was there.
Yes, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so I started talking to companies up there. I joined another agency up in Shoreditch, and this is the time when Shoreditch was really that up and coming area. There's loads of new tech startups, so it was that was a really fun time.
And was that a bigger, more established business?
It was, yeah. So that one, it was a big, I think it was about 100 employees, I think. Came on there as a front-end web developer.
Fantastic.
Yeah, as part of the design, department.
Fantastic. And what kind of projects were you working on?
So that one was focused on websites in the like charity sector.
Okay.
So doing some stuff for pretty big charities, and I think that was my first kind of experience of thinking, oh, what I'm doing is really cool. I had this really vivid memory of when I was still commuting up to London while I was looking for a place to live. seeing billboards for the companies that I was building websites for, and just that thought was like, oh, someone goes to that that little web address on that giant billboard on the train station. They're going to something that I built. So
it's a really cool thing to do. And actually, it's another interesting point of how digital skills could get applied in so many different ways.
Absolutely.
So actually you find a niche then that either you're passionate about charities or you might love football. Like you can go and take your digital skills and you can apply it to something that you're passionate about and interested in, and then that's really cool to also marry up the two to something that you're like, people that love what I love are now seeing my code, and well, they don't see the code, they see the front bit that looks all shiny, but it's incredible.
I was actually gonna ask something quite similar to that. When it comes to these like startups you were part of, and you were making these websites, in the process of making websites, was your passion in the actual creation, or was the passion what you were creating them for, if you know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, kind of on the fence answer would be a bit of both. I think what I like about coding, and it's a real cross section between creativity and tech. Writing code is expressive. It's I could look at the code that some of my teammates have written, and I know it's them. Without the context of seeing who wrote it, I go, oh, I know who wrote this. It's a really expressive form of creativity, I think. Just writing code and seeing something appear somewhere else, it's just, it doesn't get old. Naturally being able to do work and do it for big companies, and seeing you work in places that loads of people are going to see it is cool. But I think some of my probably favourite projects haven't necessarily been for those. It's about what it is that you're building rather than who it's for.
Yeah. I guess on the charity side, thinking about some of the small changes that sometimes you can make to a website design that can actually have such an increase in conversions that actually then you're like, actually, because I did that, that charity is making more money. They're able to do more of the good things that their cause is about. And it's really incredible. Like, I think, and also the front end development side of things is really like, I don't know how much young people know and whether they're learning about it in school, like the difference between back end development to the front end development, because it is closer to the design side of things, whereas a back-end developer will be much more into the technicalities of how does this button, when someone clicks it, how do I make sure it does what it needs to do? But it's really interesting, isn't it, that front-end piece, the creativity of it, but actually the function of it. Like, is it going to work for the humans that are going to use the website? Is it going to actually do what it needs to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And the front end, I think at the time as well, when I was working on it, things like mobile phones, it sounds silly to say, but the people browsing the internet on their phone, it was a big shift in the way that we approached design, the way that we had to build what we were doing. So that was a really interesting problem to solve at the time. I think it's just something we take for granted now.
Yeah, I remember Mobile-geddon.
Yeah,
it was coined, wasn't it? It was like, because you imagine like mobiles, well, when the iPhone, I'm going to say like 2008, 2009, the first iPhone where you've got a full screen colour, you can actually browse that, but you didn't really want to browse the internet on that because it was so blooming slow. You were on like terrible connections, and these websites hadn't been designed for it. So suddenly you're having to knock on all of these businesses' doors to go, hey, this website that we built you, if you were working in a web agency, it's not really fit for purpose anymore because this thing called the mobile's come out, and you need to now make sure it works for that. But again, we're going to keep going through these. Like, we'll hit different barriers. Like at the moment with how AI is changing, especially from how people search online. that's changing actually how we think about websites. And I think we're going to go through this journey of needing to think about the human version of the website and the AI version of the website. Like, how's the robot going to read it when we give a task over of, I need you to go and buy my shopping for me this week, and this week I want to eat a spaghetti bolognese and a fish and chips or whatever. Go make sure all the ingredients are there. I want it delivered Friday morning, and it just goes and does it wherever it does it for you. That's a different pathway, and there's going to be a lot of technology to support that, to also the human that wants to go, I'm going to go and order it all myself. But yeah, it's we're going to keep seeing changes that disrupt, which is kind of what makes our industry so cool, I think.
Absolutely. I think in the 15 years that I've been doing this, it's I think AI has probably been the biggest switch, but yeah, I think what I was doing 15 years ago is fundamentally so different to what I'm doing now, and would be if I had joined, if I was coming into the industry now, for sure.
Staring at a blank screen trying to figure out what happens after school or college, university, apprenticeships, T-levels, it's a lot to take in. But what if you could speak directly to the people who are actually hiring? NAS Events brings you events like the National Apprenticeship Show, London School and College Leavers Show, and many more. They run the UK's top career events designed specifically for students aged 15 and up. These aren't just your boring careers fairs, we're talking interactive hands-on experiences where you can meet the country's biggest employers and top universities face to face. Whether you're looking for an entry-level role, a degree apprenticeship, or a pathway into higher education, this is a regional show near you. From London and Bristol to Scotland and Newcastle. The best part, it's completely free to attend. Don't just scroll through job descriptions, come and try out new skills, get expert advice, and find career paths that actually fit you. Ready to take the next step? Head over to nasevents.co.uk to find the nearest event and register for your free place today.
And it's interesting because that's also just been a natural journey, though, I'm guessing. You've not needed to come out and go and re-educate at any point. It's just constant on the job learning.
Absolutely. I mean, lifelong learning is essential, especially in the tech industry. It's nothing that it's not much that I use. This is this sounds controversial, but the things that you learn in school are it's not about how you write code, for example, because that's always going to change. The things that you learn at school are being able to approach a project in the right way, or working with your peers, all that kind of stuff. The technical skills I learned during my albeit self-driven education probably aren't applicable now. It just keeps
evolving, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
But it shows how you pick a career path in a fast-moving environment that does keep changing, that you will just change with it. You don't suddenly get to a point where, unless you're not willing to keep learning, then I suppose there are a few people like that maybe it doesn't work. But actually, for most people that want to keep learning, you just go on that journey, and it's incredible. What you started with is not what you end up with. And who knows what's going to happen next.
I mean, you talked about how you can tell when one of your colleagues has written some code, and there's a lot of controversy with AI around AI songs, AI art, and when he talked about code, it also sounded like you viewed that as an art form. How do you feel about AI also having its own place in the coding world, and do you feel like that's taken away some people's artistic signature in coding?
Yeah, great question. There's a bit of conflict. I'm using AI every day as part of my tool set. All of our other engineers at Red Ant are using AI, and you're right, it's got the potential to almost replace a lot of low-level coding that people are doing. So yeah, I think I do. There's part of me that mourns the loss of that, so in some way. But at the same time, the technology needs to move forward, and it will inevitably move forward. I think what AI does, especially when it comes to coding and development, is give people the opportunity to spend their time doing other things. I think that's probably how it's impacted me the most. I'm spending less of my time writing physical code, worrying about syntax or code style, all that kind of stuff. I can focus on the actual problem that I'm solving, and what I found is that at least for me is a lot more fun. You get to be a bit more creative in other ways. So yeah.
Do you think, does your code still look like your code though, or not because of AI?
Not.
No.
No, probably not. I think there's ways that you can get it to write code in the way you want, but I think that aspect of it is possibly a little lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as you say, like if it is freeing up space, like we talk about it actually in my agency Reflect around using AI to create space for human brilliance, and it is, you suddenly get that space to think more and to be creative in different ways, isn't it? It's not necessarily, you don't have to be bashing the keyboard, creating the code.
Absolutely, that's a much more eloquent way of putting it. I
Well,
like that.
we spent a lot of time thinking about how to frame that because but it's that freeing up space to think, which, because when you're just stuck in the kind of wheel of, and especially having worked in agencies where there is always a queue of tasks to do,
Yes.
and they're always pretty urgent, all of them, and it's like you just got to keep going, whereas actually you can slow down a little bit to speed up because you can think more.
Absolutely.
It's really good.
I think what we're asking of our engineers is slightly different now, and we're not seeing them as individual contributors. It's not, I am a developer, like you give me a ticket, I will build what you want. They are almost becoming a small team leader in themselves, except that team that they're in charge of is not humans. It's AI.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. It's exciting.
Do you think there'll be some people that went into coding and engineering that are sitting there today going, that doesn't suit me though, the way things are moving, and I really do just want to be able to write code, and there'll be others like yourself that go, actually this has created space for me to do something slightly different? Yeah,
really good question. I think obviously my experience is very much in I'm not building low level code. I'm not writing low level code. I'm not building systems from the ground up. There's always going to be the requirement for engineers to need to do that.
Yeah.
I'm using tools that are available to me to create applications, to create websites, to do those kind of things. So I think that's why the way I use it has evolved. But I think there'll always be, for those who want to be writing code, there's always going to be those opportunities open to them, I think.
Definitely. No, that's good. That's good, because some people, that is where their skill set lies, and they don't necessarily want to feel like they're just managing a team of, whether it's humans or agents, to do things for them. They'll be like, I want to be writing the code. So you were working in the agency where you're working on kind of charity work. Yes. What is that, the last job before you land in Red Ant?
It was, yeah. So the move for London wasn't for me, I don't think. I think which may be something that a lot of people go through. I moved my life up there, moved in with some random people that I met on the internet, and it was fun. It was really fun, but I found it a bit too much in the end. So I was like, I'm going to find somewhere a bit closer to home.
There's also a different time, because I wonder how much people do that now, because so many jobs people are doing remotely, or they're only required to be in 1 or 2 days. Whereas actually when you were required to be in 5 days a week, the thought of that hour and a half commute, so 3 hours a day of commuting, 5 days a week is a lot, and people used to do it. But actually living there locally feels nicer. But actually, I wonder how much of a pull for young people it is to go and live in the city. It's, different. Is it one that you've considered?
Living in the city, I think it's an interesting topic for me. Obviously, I've never really grown up in a city, just, a normal town. But say I go to London every now and then, there's definitely a different atmosphere. I think there's definitely a different culture, and most likely a different work culture. I mean, one thing about Crawley is a lot of the people who live in Crawley work in London, or they'll work in Gatwick, just because of vicinity. But a lot of people will live in Crawley just so they can commute to London without paying for London house prices, or just having to pay for London in general. So I'd said I'm definitely around, like, my teachers, a lot of them don't live in Crawley actually. Some of them are down in Brighton, so a lot of the adults I'm around which are in some sort of workplace are usually working in, like, London or Brighton or some sort of big city. So I think I can kind of understand some perspectives of, like, work and the work culture in London. I mean, I remember, like, how often my dad would complain about commuting up there. Like, rush hour, just he would say how bad it is. So he's a big advocate for, like, working at home. He's definitely a very different person in the morning when he works at home compared to when he goes into the office. So I think I don't really know if I foresee myself working in a city, unless I've always considered, like, a more journalist route career-wise. So if I was to be doing a more active role where I'm actually out and about, I think I'll be dealing with cities often anyways. But I've always loved the culture of a city, because it's like they're often, you know, quite diverse, multicultural, and they've all kind of got their own signature, which I really appreciate. And I think even, like, as kind of on a larger scale of society, like, as the world kind of progresses, even with social media, everyone can share their culture, and cities are starting to become, I think, even more of their own identities. I think Dubai is a really good example. Well, Dubai isn't a really good example of that in terms of culture, but I think if we want to talk about how, like, independence, I think Dubai is a good example. And I think, I just think, like, especially when I'm older, I think there's going to be cities with the independence of Dubai and the culture of London. And that'd be really interesting to see. So who knows where I'll end up.
Predictions coming out. You heard it here first. Love it. So commuting's not working. Living there's not working as well, and you look for something different.
Yes, and I'd started looking for agencies around Maidstone. It's where I grew up, so I decided to move back with my parents for a little bit, and I interviewed for a few places, but Red Ant was the one that kind of stuck for me. It was clear, the moment I walked into the office, had the interviews, that they were the kind of place that I wanted to work with, the kind of people that I wanted to work with, which
And where was Red Ant on their journey? Because I've known Red Ant for many years, because I've known Sarah. So Sarah was my first ever line manager. So she's CEO at Red Ant now. But we both worked together, not too far from where we are now, actually. And she was my first ever line manager and my first ever proper job. And we've stayed very close ever since. And weirdly, both ended up running digital agencies. But I know there was a point where Red Ant was doing a lot more kind of websites, that type of thing, but then moved much more into the retail space. So where were they on that journey when you joined? And
I joined as a web front end designer developer for that website, for the websites that we're working on. Retail OS, which is very much our focus now as a business, was probably like a year or two from, like, really gaining speed. So. And as I said earlier, my journey on that kind of began quite early, and the company and therefore my role kind of evolved from that point.
An interesting journey to go on as a company pivots more so and
Absolutely.
spots an opportunity, and actually it's brilliant. Maybe you can explain a little bit about what Retail OS is, because it's a really cool tool, and it's again starting to think about how digital interacts with humans and actually what we do in the real world, and how companies can kind of evolve their offerings. So
absolutely. So Retail OS, it's our primary focus is being able to bring like digital innovation into stores. So the primary way that people interact with it is through our apps. So the people in stores, they've got our apps, and it's really about allowing them to get more value out of their client base. So got lots of tools around like clienteling, about finding more about their own customer base, finding out what their spending habits are, being able to like message them directly, and as well as us bringing in information from around the business. So they've got business intelligence tools, all that kind of stuff. Bring that in all that information to their sales advisors. So people who wouldn't necessarily have access to that kind of thing, they've got all that within within a phone on the shop floor. So
love that, and it's kind of bridging that if someone buys from them online but then comes into store.
Absolutely.
Instead of them being different humans, it's like you're the same human. We know who you are. You're a loyal customer of ours. We're going to care for you. We're going to reward you as well. Like it's really cool piece. Well, and that was born out of a project, was it? Or an opportunity, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so that was born out of there was I can't remember which client it was, but they we noticed that they were the sales advisors are using the website, the client-facing website, to get product information and even place orders as kind of a rudimentary omni-channel kind of solution, and saw a gap for that, a clear gap for that. So that's where the idea sprang from. We were lucky enough to pair with a very collaborative client at the time. And built Retailers as that, really.
Love that. Love that.
It's,
spotting a real life problem and then being able to pivot your whole business around it, because it really is. Absolutely. It is like most of the business now, isn't there? I feel like there's a few web clients still, but
we call them legacy clients for sure.
Clients.
Yeah,
we love our legacy clients, so we've all got a few of those.
But yeah, it's a really fun sector to work in. We've worked on for clients from all different verticals, so like furniture stores, high luxury, and every single one of those clients, even within the same vertical, have their own problems. And while we are running Retailers as a product, we still have to kind of delve into that client's world, understand what it is that how that company works, and it's definitely one of the parts of the job that's kept me around for 12, 13 years now, I think. It never as much as I'd like to be able to say I've built this once and it's going to work for everyone, it's that's not the reality. No,
clients will always be bringing new ideas, new challenges, but that is part of what makes it so much fun, doesn't it? It is. Yeah. I think working in, because I guess you guys are less of an agency now, you're more of a SaaS type business, but still with agency legacy and the way you look after clients. But when you work in an agency environment, you learn so much about so many different types of businesses, and the things that you're like, didn't even know there was a company that did that, and now they're our client and I know everything about it. It's it keeps it, I find it really interesting, because it's just that human side of the technology that you've got to understand how this is then going to work in that world. It's Just a quick note from me. We'd love you to hit the subscribe button. This helps us more than you might realise when it comes to growing this podcast, ensuring we can bring you the best guests possible. Thank you. Back to the episode. Have you thought of that agency side? Obviously, you've got some friends running a micro agency at the moment.
Well, obviously I do my little business GCSE, my little microscopic stuff. But I think if ever came to me, even like running an agency, I don't know, I think I've always appreciated the idea of starting up something like that. But I don't know how much of a CEO, how much of a boss I am. Obviously I'm a boss, but I think if it came to like agencies, I don't really think that's like my forte.
No, where do you think? So you're thinking about journalism? You said earlier. Is that the
journalism? Also, I think I'd be interested in getting into some sort of like stats roles.
Okay.
So like kind of like analysing statistics. A lot of them are like looking for people which have studied life sciences. So things like politics, even sociology, and then there's also like social sciences, and also people even who've done history.
Interesting. So you've got a bit of so on the stats side, we've got data, but then on the journalism side, that's very creative and writing. So you've got both.
It's a bit everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think it's better that way.
And also, as you said at the start, you're 15 right now.
Yeah.
You've got.
I don't need to know. Yeah.
You don't need to know. And I think, like, James is a perfect example that you went and started doing that media studies course because you were interested in some of those subjects. And then you found a thing that you were like, this could be the thing. You didn't know immediately that it was the thing. You then go on and do some other things and it finds you eventually. If you're doing the right things and you're following your passion. You've talked about passion a lot today. Like, it's really important, isn't it? You've got to do what you enjoy doing.
I mean, I remember politics, history, maths wasn't my original A-level idea. I originally wanted to do chemistry, biology and history. History is always going to stay there, I love it. But it was actually chemistry, biology, history. And that's because I was thinking of going down a more like medical route.
Okay.
Especially since my mum had always been like talking to me, even when I was younger, about medical stuff. I mean, when I was like 7 years old, I was saying I wanted to be a neurosurgeon.
Wow.
And there's no way that my little mind could comprehend that I actually wanted that. I think that's just my mum. But she's definitely been very present when it comes to all my academics, so that's very important to me. But I think that was definitely more her influence on my idea of going into chemistry, biology, history. And then I was thinking over it, and I realised that like I was constantly thinking, I wish I could do history and politics, but I can't because I've got to do chemistry and biology. And then one night I thought to myself, well, I don't have to do chemistry or biology.
Yep.
So then I was like, well, you know what, I'm going to change it. I'm going to do history and politics, and then I'm going to chuck maths in there because 3 essay subjects, I don't think my hand would survive after that.
No.
And I think I appreciate maths, and I actually quite like it when it becomes more challenging. I think it's the same way you were talking about low level and high level coding. I think when it comes to high level maths instead of low level maths, it becomes less of a chore and more of a challenge. And I think when things become more challenging and you put more thought towards it, I think it's easier to like appreciate what it is.
Yeah.
Because you really have to just observe it. If you're doing all these sorts of low level things, it's easy to just drone on and do a tedious task as though it's a chore.
Yeah.
But I think the reason I chose things like A-level maths is because at that higher level, I think it would be more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So those are my levels I chose. I actually forgot how I got to that point in the conversation.
It was good though. It was good. No, it makes sense.
I think I just chose what I wanted to do, and hopefully I'll just see what I stumble upon.
Yeah, it will, as I say, it will find you.
Yeah, especially since there's a lot more options for like a lot of people say, well, you know, and a lot of rich people especially will be like, well, money isn't everything. It's a lot. Definitely.
It helps because it helps
yeah.
pay for things, but it isn't everything. It's very, very true.
Yeah, but I think especially what's quite lucky for me is there's a lot more ways to make money.
Yeah.
50 years ago or so, like when my granddad was growing up, you know, his main course of life would have been, okay, do well in school, get a job because that's the main way of doing things, and then, you know, make money and have a family. I think now there's a lot more options. Is side hustles, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
There's social media, there's so much out there that I think you can earn money and have time for a passion.
100%. And obviously you started us off talking around mentoring and you gave the really hard question of like uni versus mentoring. But I think like, and maybe James can share some of this, like to me mentoring happens throughout your career, and actually you've probably got a teacher at the moment that acts like a mentor to you. Your parents have been mentoring you.
Yeah.
Like you'll have so many different mentors through your life. So I guess how has it shown up in your career, and also you as the mentor to mentees? Like it's a fun relationship because I always find I learn a lot from mentoring others as well. So
yeah, absolutely. I think over my careers, there's probably been a handful of people that I would. I've never had to ask, like, do you want to be my mentor? It's weird putting a label on it sometimes, but there's definitely a collection of people that they've been really impactful on, me as a person and as a professional. I'm a big believer in finding, when you're looking for somewhere to work, is finding that right group of people to surround yourself with. I want to be surrounded by people that inspire me. And I think that's part of the reason why I've been at Red Ant as long as I have. I've been lucky to have those people around me. And that feeling of giving back as well. I love talking to people about what they're doing. It could be an informal, do you want a pair program for 30 minutes? And I'm interested in what you're building. Do you want to, kind of work together and, give them some tips and, it's a really satisfying part of my role now.
Yeah.
It's
those informal mentors that sometimes you don't realise till a couple of years later. You're like, whoa, what that person did for me then. And they didn't probably even realise they were doing it either. They were just following their natural instinct to support and be helpful and all the things that most humans are, and especially in the workplace when you're working towards something. But also, it's interesting the people you meet across your network that will just help you out and do things to support you. And yeah, have you got any key mentors at the moment that are supporting you?
So I've got, obviously, I'd say my parents definitely quite key mentors. When it comes to like my mum, so she's going through a counselling course right now. She's helping my sister a lot with because my sister does ballet.
Okay.
And she's actually she's pretty good, to be fair. I think that's understating it, because she actually got into quite a good school, like an upper ballet school. And I was talking to some of the others here about how expensive it is. So we'll see, because they give bursary rates quite often. So we'll see how that goes. But my mum in general is definitely really hardworking when it comes to like the structure of the family.
Yeah.
I think she really upholds it. My dad is. I think my dad's just a dad. He's definitely that. He works, and then when he's not working, he's like watching like a random TV show and he'll have a beer, or he'll watch me just do whatever I'm doing and make like snarky comments when I do something wrong. So I think they're quite good role models, but also I'd say they're mentors of how I'd want to be when I'm older. And I think they demonstrate to me what a reasonably good like work-life balance is. I wouldn't say my parents are workaholics in like a dangerous way. Maybe I'd give that title to my mum, but not in like a paid labour environment. And I think my dad's got it pretty reasonably figured out now that he's gone to his new company. And I think when it comes to school, one of my mentors is definitely my history teacher, because I always talk about history. That's Mr. J. He's been teaching me since I think year 9 or year 8, and I just had him multiple times in a row. He's just a really good teacher. Sometimes he'll make a joke and the class is silent. But I guess that's just a thing that has to happen to everyone. It's just a natural event.
It does.
But I think lessons with him are fun. And I always learn something. I mean, I might learn something about another classmate, because Mr. J is one of those teachers where if you're year 7 and you're walking around in the hallway, you will look at him, he's shouting at a couple of students, and you're thinking, oh, like this guy's trouble, like he's a real deal. And when you get in his class, he might, shout here and there, but I really think he's actually a lot more open to conversation, open to all these things that you actually expect.
Yeah.
I find that a lot with the teachers which really appear like rough around the edges or just meaner in general. If you get to know them more, they're really more genuine.
Yeah.
And I think you can actually like understand them more as a human to human like relationship than a student to teacher relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my school mentor for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Amazing, Mr. J.
Yeah.
Doing good work, as well as mum and dad. Very important. So love it. Any final thoughts, final questions that you've got?
I had one,
James?
which was again back to the files. You mentioned that you really enjoyed reading history books.
Yeah.
What would you say is like your favourite, say, period or era of history that you like to read about?
Sure. I mean, I don't think I probably don't know history probably as well as you do. I'm definitely seeing it as a as a way to unwind. It's completely removed from what I do my day to day. I find it really, I think it's important to have something that is completely different from what you do. Stops you from getting too burnt out. It's definitely a risk. So like reading a book, really enjoy doing. I think one of the most fascinating parts of history, I feel, is that period of time between the fall of the Roman Empire and the Normans coming in, so that Anglo-Saxon period. Really, really interesting. Not much in the way of literature about it, so just going off around, people theorising on archaeological knowledge, theorising on archaeological knowledge and stuff. It's I just find it really interesting. It's and it's a source of so many myths and legends that we have today. So really, really interesting.
We did a family holiday to Egypt a couple of years ago, and we went and did the pyramids and all of the amazing sites of Egypt. And honestly, when I came back, I could read hieroglyphics. I can't anymore, but they do it. They work really hard with you when you're there to teach you. But just incredible. Like, I do think history, when you think the world we live in today and how fast technology is moving, but actually all the way back, how they would build something like a pyramid without any of the tools or things that we've got. And you think, well, you can just go to ChatGPT now and say, make me a vision of what I'm trying to build, and then give me the steps to do it, etc. We've got so much support around us. It's mad to think how civilizations before did what they did, but it's really good.
I think history is just I think everyone has to know a bit about history. I think it's just a really important topic. I think it's also quite overlooked, because there's that popular quote, I think it's by, I'd like to say John F. Kennedy, about history almost being lessons. It's probably not him that said that, but someone said it, and I like that one. But also I think it's kind of like history leaves its mark on the world, and it can maintain the memory of, say, countries which have lost their territory, or countries which aren't even around, and cultures. I just think it's beautiful that people to this day can find what might seem the smallest of clues or remnants of evidence, and they can track it all the way back to these civilizations that would have been lost without it.
Yeah.
And I think we're finding someone new every day. We're finding out about these cultures, and I think it's just important to remember that these were people. And for all we know, if nothing works out for us, no one's going to remember who we were. Yeah. But if history keeps going and history maintains, and that's the final thing that we get to leave behind, to prove that we were humans, to prove that we were here.
Definitely.
So I think that's my favourite thing about it.
Love that. And actually the fact that digital is really helping history, because it's speeding up some of the process, it's speeding up some of the ways, and also some of the ways we can mark it down and keep it so that future generations can remember the stories.
Yeah.
What an interesting chat we've had. James, is there anything we haven't asked you about that you're like, wow, if I was 16 right now, I wish I'd known?
Oh, that's a big one. What I wish for, but I kind of, if I was to talk to my 16-year-old self, I'd probably tell myself to take life a little less seriously. I went, with the self-learning route, I went really quite hard at it, and it's very easy to get yourself burnt out at that point. I think if I had someone to say, look, you're putting the effort in now, it's going to pay off, I might have been a little bit happier. But yeah, I think it's just, but it's but that I think.
Yeah. It will sort itself out, isn't it? That's the thing. It's you just got to trust the process, trust the, most people that have sat in this chair say they don't know what they wanted to do when they were older, and when they were sitting there as your kind of age, didn't know the exact route they were going to take, and yet they've gone on to have such an interesting, wonderful journey, one that's also continuing on. There's more to come, and I think that's the thing. You just trust the process, follow what you love, and it'll work itself out. So what a fun episode. James, thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest. People can, I'm sure, go find you on LinkedIn and places like that. Max, you've been brilliant. I've loved
Thank you
learning.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like you're a very insightful young man, and
Thanks.
some really interesting thoughts on history and the future
Yeah.
there. So really enjoyed it. You can catch us on another episode of Behind the Future next time. But thank you so much for joining us. That concludes another brilliant episode of Behind the Future. Thank you so much for listening. You can listen back to other episodes on YouTube or your podcast platform of choice. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, as that will help us to grow this podcast, ensuring we can get the best guests on here for you to learn from. You can also follow us on socials, linked in the show notes for exclusive content. See you on the next episode.